Good afternoon and welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair. I'm your host of the show, and we're a little late getting on the air today. We are actually on the road in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is on the east coast of the United States, and delighted to come to you. It's been a little bit of a struggle, as you know, when it is you're on the road and using a different environment and different equipment. Actually working with a Dell laptop, an old Inspiron 1521 with a dual-core processor and a little baby mixer, a Behringer Xenex. Is it Xenex? Well, I can't really make it out, but it's a 502, so it's not a big mixer. And we're running line in to the mic and line out from the speakers to the mixer. It's been a real challenge to work with. Less than what we're used to. Let me adjust the screen just a tad here. There we go. And coming to you from an apartment near the Blue Ridge Mountains. I wish we could show the mountains to you today, but it's a really foggy day and there's nothing to see but fog. So this is That VidBlaster Guy, coming to you every week on Tuesday afternoons at 2 o'clock Central Time. I am Tom Sinclair, and I'm actually a VidBlaster, an authorized VidBlaster reseller. And so I have lots of clients. Part of my show purpose is to show my clients what they can do that they don't already know they can do with VidBlaster, and potential clients all the neat things that you can do with VidBlaster. I think that one man with one PC, even a little baby laptop, can do a pretty darn good broadcast, and that's what I'm out to prove. The broadcasts generally fall into three categories. We have sports broadcasting, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, or whatever. I've done personally, golly, 200 some odd soccer matches over the years. Multi-camera, single camera, static camera, as well as camera operated, cameras operated by live people. And it's been a lot of fun. And sports broadcasting is great. We had a video that we recorded and had part of our last show that demonstrated the new slow motion video that's built into VidBlaster, and we'll be doing some more of those in the future. So if you haven't seen it, go back to show number 5, and there's a great little vid in there that we did that was sort of a demo. I guess you'd call it maybe a demo, maybe a tutorial. Not quite sure what the difference between the two is, but it's fairly instructive. The other segments that we do on our show would be to focus on church broadcasting, that is for houses of worship to broadcast their services or their message or specials that they might have, and we know a lot of churches that are involved in this. And then the third part that we talk about is talk shows like That VidBlaster Guy and other talk shows. Today's episode is a little out of the ordinary. We're not really going to talk about any one of those three specific topics, but rather the whole concept of streaming, live streaming, and paying for it. And I know everybody winces when I say pay for it because, oh my goodness, you know, the whole idea is that you can get into this internet broadcasting on a budget. But sooner or later, you get tired of the intrusive pop-up ads from Ustream or Livestream, from the, oh golly, is it Ustream that interrupts the middle of your show after 15 or 20 minutes and just, you know, basically takes over. It was like when you were a kid at home and you were ready to watch TV on a Monday or Tuesday night, and suddenly the president was on, and he was on every channel. And, you know, there was no more watching Andy Griffith or whatever it was because the president was on. Well, Ustream's a little bit like that. When they're ready to show their 15 or 30-second commercial, it comes right over top of what you're watching. Sooner or later, I think everybody gets tired of that, and they decide, I want my show to look the very best it can, and therefore I'm going to go out and buy streaming services. And I made that decision about, I'd say about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and went through and tried lots of different services, signed up for the free trials and tested them out, and would encourage you to do the same thing. And finally, you know, I'm sure I didn't check every single one that was out there, and there were some of them that were much more expensive than my meager budget. I figured, you know, I've got $20, $30 a month I can throw at this, and hopefully make that back with a sponsor here or there, so at least I'm not losing money on the deal. And after checking quite a few of them, I didn't end up, but I selected one called DaCast, D-A-C-A-S-T. Kind of like if you watch some of those, what's it, Saturday Night Live shows where they talked about the Bears, talking about the Chicago Bears football team, the Bears. Well, DaCast is the same way, and it's DaCast.com, D-A-C-A-S-T.com. And DaCast I like for a lot of reasons. Number one is they're fairly inexpensive. I think I'm paying $29 a month for, is it 50 gigabytes? However many it is, I don't use them every month, I know that. And that's live streaming, and I can upload my videos and have them available for video on demand. One of the features that I like the best about DaCast, and this was sort of one of the things that I had to have, it was in my criteria, was the ability to do pay-per-view. That is, if I'm doing a sporting event in particular, and I'm doing it not for my home team that my son might be playing on or something like that, but rather I'm doing it for a team that I'm not affiliated with, and I'm paying camera people and I'm paying other folks to come out and help me with the broadcast, I need a source of revenue. And so pay-per-view was the solution. And DaCast has got a great way of doing it. Basically, the player that you can embed in your own website just pops up and says, if you want to watch it, you know, here's where you pay, and you can pay by credit card, you can pay by PayPal. It's really easy. Now, obviously, there are folks out there that are not tech savvy, that no matter what we do, it's not going to really make a whole lot of difference. They're not going to be able to figure it out, and you just have to accept that. But I've found the DaCast system very easy to use, and have gotten some nice checks, I guess is the best way to put it, from DaCast. Their fees are not very extensive. In fact, I've got an interview that I did a couple of days ago before I came on this trip with the Vice President for the Americas for Business Development, Greg Ellis. And why don't I switch over to that now and let you hear what Greg has to say. So with no further ado, let's take a look at Gregory Ellis from DaCast. And Greg, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us this afternoon.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you. Nice to be here. Glad to be on that VidBlaster Guy for the first time.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a new show. This is actually show number 6. And we have been a DaCast user since the very, very beginning. In fact, not only for that VidBlaster Guy, but for a lot of our sporting activities, we've used DaCast. And I'm going to steal some thunder from you right now and say I just got a check in the mail the other day from you guys for over $500 for the pay-per-view that we did a couple of weeks ago. So thank you very much. It's always nice to get money in the mail. But that's
Glad to have a satisfied customer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's hard not to be satisfied when you're getting cash in the mail. Greg, tell me a little about DaCast. Where did you guys come from? Where are you now, and where are you going? I know that's kind of open-ended, but kind of fill in the edges of that one for me.
Okay, Tom. Let's see. We were founded about 3 or 4 years ago by actually one of the pioneers in the video portal business, who had built his first streaming video portal business in Europe at the end of the 90s and sold it to Hypercast, the big CDN there, and then operated one of their business units for a while. He founded this company about 3 to 4 years ago as a brand new broadcast platform for mid-tier broadcasters and content rights owners to find a way to distribute their content without being kittens playing piano, and to make money for it for those of them who wanted to have that kind of option. We launched our service November 1st, 2010 as more or less a public beta, no advertising, no marketing, and we brought a very large number of people on with our pay-as-you-go approach to selling bandwidth. No contracts, no upfront fees, no long-term commitments. We've been growing slowly and steadily up until mid-2011, when we kind of came out in our full-fledged service offering with an update to what we called some of our newer features, if you will, including the video-on-demand feature. We started as live only. And when we added the video-on-demand capability, we launched full bore in the spring of 2011. Since then, we've grown to about 13,000, almost 14,000 users right now. and have gone through one iteration of the product and are getting ready to launch the second iteration here before the end of the year. And we basically are your alternative broadcast platform for people who want to make money on their content, and for people who don't want to have their content mixed up with someone else's and don't want to have ads or anyone else's content imposed on theirs.
You know, Greg, the basis of our show, that VidBlaster Guys, we're pitching three different themes. One is sports broadcasting, one is church broadcasting, the other is talk show broadcasting, and all three of those groups, none of those groups want anybody else's ads on there, if any ads at all. And so this has got to be good news to the folks that are watching today, I think. And as a DaCast user, I'm on the starter plan. I'm not a big fish in this pond, and I'm thrilled. The service is easy to use. It is, I haven't had any technical problems with it. You know, you always have some technical problems, but most of mine have been internet related, not related to you guys. And I find that I don't use all my gigabytes every month. Are you guys saving them for me somewhere?
Yeah, Tom, we are. We have kind of the same approach as what everyone's used to right now with a cell phone plan that they pay monthly. Is we roll your unused bandwidth over every month. As long as you're still a customer, the bandwidth stays there for you to use, and it just builds up. We also try to we kind of take the philosophy that it's good to give people maybe a little more for what they're spending than what they might actually use. So a lot of our users find that they have that extra 10% or 20% on top of their monthly allowance that they bought with their plan.
Good deal. Well, it's nice to know that I'm banking some of these unused gigabytes, like I might have been banking some of the unused minutes in my cell service, at least till my teenage son got a hold of them. Then they disappeared overnight. One of the things that I've enjoyed about, I've got my cheat sheet here, so folks, please forgive me. I can't work all of this from memory. But one of the things that I love about the service that you guys have is the monetization. Did I pronounce that correctly? The ability to monetize my stream. Tell me about what you guys are doing with that. It's really pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are very focused on providing the tools that content rights owners and broadcasters need in order to make money off the video. We have fully integrated merchant bank accounts. We're fully integrated with PayPal. With just a couple of clicks, you can add a paywall onto a video on demand, an online video, or a live stream, and you can charge people. They can pay monthly. They can pay by the minute. They can pay for a single couple of hours event. We basically take the pay-per-view concept and the viewer subscription concept, bundle it up so that our customers like yourself could just pick and choose with a couple of clicks what price you want, how to do it. We take care of all of the nasty details behind. We collect the money for you. We pay it out, as you mentioned early on, when you ask for it. And we handle viewer refund requests when those do come up once in a while because a viewer has a problem. And we take care of all of that for our customers.
Cool. Very cool. And having used the pay-per-view function several times myself, I think your fees are very reasonable. I don't recall off the top of my head what they are. It's like a 20 cents and then a 2%, or tell me, don't let me get this one wrong.
Well, it's a little more than that, but it's 9.9%.
Okay.
Of the ticket price, and we also charge a 40-cent transaction.
That's what it was.
So effectively, you have a 50-cent minimum price you can apply.
Gotcha.
And that pretty much covers everything. We kind of compare that to the YouTube approach where they'll take 35% or more. We compare that to a couple of our other competitors I won't name that take up to 50% of the ticket price.
Oh, I'll name them. I'll tell you about Ustream that'll take up to 50% of the ticket price. And yeah, and put their ads in there too. Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we had an event just recently in my sports broadcasting company, and we sold tickets for $5 a piece, and I think our net on that was $4.11, and I was delighted, especially after having done the same thing with Ustream and given up 50%, actually a little bit more than 50% as I recall, because it was 50% plus there was a charge per user. So I mean, I was delighted, and again, to get a nice check after it was all said and done was really cool too. And I understand that I can have, for example, if that VidBlaster guy got so very popular that people were actually willing to pay for it, not that I think that's going to happen anytime soon, but if that were to happen, I could put it on a subscription so somebody could buy a year-long subscription to that VidBlaster guy and watch it every week or in reruns.
that they could. And we actually, among the different people we have sports broadcasters who will, obviously sports is a seasonal business, so they'll set up a subscription basis on a per season, but they'll also usually offer a per game or per match price. So we try to give the flexibility. I've got a hairstylist customer who charges per minute to watch live hairstyling, and he
Get
makes a
out of here.
significant amount of money because he focuses on very elaborate hairstyles, and he's more or less a hairstylist for well-known people. And
Wow.
so he makes arrangements with his customers to allow them to broadcast his hairstyling. He also teaches hairstyling and charges, he has a class, and you can buy the class, you can buy a subscription, or you can buy per the minute to watch a particular thing, such as a particular curl or a particular type of cut. So a lot of flexibility there for the customers. Basically, your audience, we don't. So we try to give you the tools and the flexibility to charge your audience what is appropriate.
That is just very cool, very cool. And of course, there are no ads that are running through any of it. No little pop-ups across the bottom of the screen, or no ads that come and interrupt the middle of the presentation.
You're absolutely right, Tom. There's absolutely nothing there. And I don't know if you saw, but recently we just announced our Facebook app that allows people to sell through the Facebook store as well.
Tell me about that.
Well, we have several customers in the performance entertainment industry who are looking to monetize their content outside of the traditional record company and paid ticket approach at a big arena. So since Facebook is where they interact the most with their fans, we were approached by a major event promoter, to create a Facebook app that was integrated with the Facebook store and allowed the acceptance of, at the time, this was Facebook credits, but it is generically applicable to any kind of payments that Facebook will allow you to take in your account through the Facebook store. We can create a custom app for you, and it does have to be custom because it has to be integrated with the Facebook account. But we can let you sell your content on Facebook as well as the white label approach, which you're familiar with from having used us for the pay-per-view from your own website.
Wow. Wow. I can't imagine how, oh golly, I'm going to have to think about that one for a while. That has all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, again, it's no watermarks, no advertising of DaCast. We're the gears for you. We're just the gears for you to make your business in video. You're the video people, we're the gears.
Well, I would say, if I didn't know better, because I already know how much I pay you guys, but I would say, this has got to cost hundreds of dollars a month, but it really doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. We are a very, very large consumer of bandwidth in the aggregate. So we've taken the approach that with a highly integrated, highly automated website approach that lets you provision your own streams. So in other words, you can set up your own streaming. You can set up your own streaming. You can control every aspect of it. You don't really even have to call us. 90% of the things you do, you never have to talk to us at all, because we make it very easy with a simple browser interface. And because of that, we're so integrated and so automated, we can take that large bulk purchase of bandwidth we have, cut it down, add in the extra for all the extra features we bundle around the bandwidth, and offer it at a pretty reasonable price. We start as low if you do a prepaid starter plan, the type of plan you're on. If you do a prepaid starter for a year, you get it at $19 a month. And but of course, we also have very, very large customers who stream hundreds of games a month, and you know, large pay-per-view customers who work that way as well. We're kind of we're a bucket. You can come and reach your hand in and take a little bit out. And we offer it in little bits.
I love it. I love it. This is really good stuff. Really good stuff. And I know that the guys and gals watching this, you know, either live or after the fact, are scratching their heads and making notes and thinking about, okay, if it's only $19 a month, you know, my church can afford that, and we can get rid of all the ads. You know, it's worth $19 a month for my talk show to be my show, and I can embed it on my website. Golly, yeah, this is great. This is great. Well, if you wouldn't mind, can you crack open your crystal ball a little bit and tell me what you see coming down the pike for the next year or so for you guys or for your industry in general?
Sure. Let me back up just a little bit.
Okay.
You did mention you have the focuses of your show.
Right.
And we've been talking monetization, but we do have hundreds and hundreds of churches and people who are using us because of the small price and the fact there are no ads.
Right.
So we call that the white label approach.
Right. So
basically, you put your own label on it. You don't have to see anything about us. And if that's what you want, we offer that. And the monetization are all just add-ons in the service.
Sure.
So to take the crystal ball, we see a massive expansion at the low end, the people who are buying what we call our starter plans, or who are buying a small amount of our pay-as-you-go, a small bucket of bandwidth that they can just use as they need.
Right.
We see a huge expansion of that coming as we add automatic integration with the multi-screen distribution, as we add a variety of other features that make it even easier, let you use different players that you may already have on your website, where all you need to do is embed a little bit of code in your website page, and you don't have to change anything else. We see a big explosion at the low end as people find out how easy it is to stream and bring the people they want to watch their content to their own website.
Right.
So we see a big explosion there, probably a tenfold increase over the next couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Is what we're seeing now with the growth.
Right.
I mean, easily tenfold. We actually are projecting higher than that, but easily 10 times the number of people right now who are small streamers who maybe have 50 people watching their streams every day, or once a week in terms of a church. Our typical church streams 2 or 3 streams on a weekend, and maybe 1 or 2 streams during the week. They maybe have 50 to 100 viewers maximum per stream. They put it on their own website because they don't want anyone else seeing what they're talking about. They sometimes close it off and password protect it, but the key point is they do with it what they want to do with it. You know, sometimes it's an open ministry, sometimes it's a closed internal event. We see that group on the religious side. We see public schools just exploding with how much they're streaming what they have. It's one of our fastest growing categories, our public schools, again, because of no advertising, who are able to bring things on. And we see this continuing to just boom everywhere as people want to be able to watch. Grandpa and grandma want to be able to watch the kids at the talent show. They want to be able to watch the games. They want to be able to see some classroom video. The parents want to be able to see instructional and informative videos about what's going on at the school with their children. So we see this happening. That's part of the crystal ball at the smaller content producer, white label. We want to do it our way. We don't want anyone else interfering with us kind of approach. On the monetization side, we really see that becoming the next generation. Record companies are in trouble. The music industry and music artists are looking for ways to make money. that now that most of the multi-million-dollar upfront signings for a record label are going away, and the internet makes it easier to market, especially with the Facebook approach and the social media monetization. We see an ever-increasing move there as artists and entertainment organizations move to that approach and they start monetizing. We see the universities starting to move. They're looking at the few big universities, especially in your part of the world and in ours out here on the West Coast. The mega conferences are gobbling up all the money for the sports, but there are thousands of smaller universities that are also playing sports and have fan bases. And we see the growth in their subscription-based business just going through the roof. On the business side and on the usage side, that's kind of where the crystal ball is. The big guys, Fox, MGM, UA, they already have their solutions in place. They'll put more content out there. All of us will watch more Hulu.com type of last week's episode of House or Family, the ABC Family channel or something. We'll see more and more of that online. But the real explosion is in the people who don't have an outlet for their video today. And that is just growing leaps and bounds. And in terms of on the technology side, the multi-screen, multi-device technology will be fully transparent on that. We already have solutions today, and we have several broadcasters streaming to iPhones, iPads with no problem. But we're implementing an even better, more transparent solution for everyone, so that you don't even have to think about it. It's just you configure your stream by yourself. You say, hey, I want to stream live. Boom, boom, boom. Three or four clicks, a couple of saved actions on the web. Turn on your camera, turn on your computer, you're running. And it goes to anyone's device. That's going to be the trend.
Awesome. Awesome.
There's been a lot of talk about that. We see it really happening now. And that is going to be exciting.
Greg, that is really exciting, because that tells me that what I'm doing is right in the right line, because there are going to be lots of folks that want to figure out how to get online and do their show, and finding DaCast is part of the solution, but finding the right software like VidBlaster is going to be part of the solution too, especially if they want the ability to overlay graphics and to do instant replay for sports. And VidBlaster just introduced last week, which is going to be huge, slow motion instant replay for sports, which is just, I don't know of anything anywhere close to the price that will do slow motion instant replay, and the ability to save and store clips for playing them back later. In the sports world, this is going to be immense. Every school, high school, middle school, community college, small college will be able to afford the things that the big colleges would have loved to have had 20 years ago. Now it's going to be anybody can have it, and anybody can operate it. It boggles the mind. It's the promise of the internet and the personal computer from 20 or 30 years ago. It's finally coming true in my mind. I mean, I'm coming from the old MS-DOS CP/M days of formatting disks and pipping and copying and all sorts of stuff like that, where computers promised a lot but didn't deliver, and now they really are delivering in ways that just boggle the mind. Amazing. Well, what else have you got? Goodness gracious, if you haven't bowled me over with that much already. What else have you got? What other arrows do you have in your quiver that you are willing to share today?
Well, coming up in the next few months here, we are, as I mentioned, we're rolling out our third iteration of the platform, which is designed to give a much easier approach and entry for the beginning broadcaster. As you just described, the increase in the features on things like on products like VidBlaster, we're matching those increase with extra features and capabilities to take advantage of that on our streaming platform. We would expect to be able to support 3D streaming by the end of the year. We expect to be able to support payments in multiple currencies. We'll certainly be able to support euros, which, you know, the small broadcasters usually regional and local in nature. And in the U.S., since we are working in a U.S. dollar basis right now, it won't affect you too much. However, there is an international market for most of the sports side. And we find also on the, we've actually been asked by several of our religious and faith-based organizations that do pay events as a way to raise money. They have an international audience. So we see coming down the road the ability to handle more of the international audience's needs.
Very cool.
Variety of other features that we'll let you know about when they come out, but they're not exactly hard scheduled yet.
Gotcha. Well, Greg, looks like Skype is beginning to let us down here, so we may have to conclude this before we lose each other. But folks, if you're just joining us, I'm talking with Greg Ellis. He's the Vice President of Business Development for DaCast, D-A-C-A-S-T, DaCast.com, and they are the official streaming company of that VidBlaster Guy, as well as Sinclair Sports Network and a few other things that we can't mention right now. Greg, it's been a real treat to have you on the show. I'd hope perhaps you can come back at some point in the future when some of these new things are kicked off and we can talk about them and explore them a little bit more.
Always happy to be on, Tom. Just let me know when you'd like to have me.
Oh, great. All right, folks, say goodbye to Greg Ellis, and we'll be right back. And Greg, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. How about that? There we go. The Rode Rig, not the Road Rage, but the Rode Rig is just one that I'm not used to using. So it's kind of interesting. Really enjoyed my conversation with Greg. As you can tell, he's a very personable individual, and really great things coming for DaCast. And obviously, if they're coming for DaCast, they're coming for their DaCast competition as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next probably 3 to 6 months in terms of what's going on in the streaming world. If you haven't looked at DaCast, I would encourage you to take a look at them. They are not giving me any compensation for being on the show. They're not giving me a break in any way. I'm paying the same rate that I would have otherwise. In fact, I think they even have a cheaper rate now than the one I'm on. But that's fine. That's fine. I think they're doing a good job, and I appreciate them doing a good job of serving me. Coming up in just a minute, I've got a tutorial on the camera modules, and so we'll go through that in just a minute. And coming up next week, we'll be doing more in-depth tutorial on slow motion instant replay. And as we will post all these tutorials on our YouTube page, and that's like that VidBlaster Guy on YouTube. If you search VidBlaster, we'll turn up there. And we have a playlist that has all the tips and tricks in it, so if you want to sit down and watch an hour and a half of tips and tricks, you can run the playlist, or if you just want to watch each one individually, you can do that too, just by selecting them from the menu on our page. So we'd be delighted to have you on there. And if you like one, tell us you like one. And if you want to subscribe, we'd love to have you subscribe too. Currently, right now, we're using YouTube for our archives, We had used Bamboozer for a while, but found out that it was just simply, frankly, easier to upload it to YouTube, and we got a lot more drive-by viewing. So if you're doing a talk show, if you're doing a sporting event, if you're interested in having your church services seen by lots of folks, I would encourage you to set up, if you haven't already, set up a YouTube account and take advantage of that. There is a process that you need to go through that will allow you to upload a long video. Remember, YouTube used to be limited to just a few minutes, but now if you go through a verification process with them, they will allow you to upload videos that are significantly longer. If you're interested in VidBlaster, I would encourage you to visit the VidBlaster website. Again, I'm a VidBlaster reseller. The VidBlaster website is vidblaster.com. And if you're interested in purchasing VidBlaster, we hope you will come to us to make the purchase. Now, why should you purchase from us as opposed to purchasing from VidBlaster? Well, number one, we are slightly cheaper. I think it's $10 less for each of the several packages. The $195 package is $185 with us, that kind of thing. But also, you get direct email support from me, Tom Sinclair, and you get my cell phone number, so that if you're doing a broadcast on Friday night at 8 o'clock and Friday night at 7:30, things don't seem to be working the way you want to, I might be able to help you troubleshoot the problem and get you through it. I answer a lot of calls on the weekends for that very reason, and I'm happy to extend that to all my clients. So you can go to that VidBlasterGuy.com and click on the store, and that'll take you to it's probably the store that's on our Sinclair Sports Network page, but it all goes to the same place. And we'd be delighted to assist you. If you're thinking about, I want to build or buy a PC, and I want to do it for a particular purpose, but I'm not sure what I need, shoot me an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com, and tell me what you want to do, and I'd be happy to discuss with you what you might need. We also do develop and sell PCs that are designed primarily for sports and church broadcasting, because they're multiple cameras. It's the kind of thing with a talk show that you might need video overlays and green screen and things like that. But with church broadcasting and sports broadcasting, a lot of times having multiple cameras is the thing. And so we've developed a small PC, about the size of 2 shoe boxes taped together maybe, that will allow 4 cameras to connect as well as audio. And you have to supply your own monitor, keyboard, and mouse, but that's generally not a big deal for most folks. And then we can preload it with any version of VidBlaster you want to and get it all tuned up and dialed in, so essentially all you have to do is plug it in and go. And that's the option that we think a lot of folks will prefer. Yes, it does cost more money because basically you're paying for our expertise in putting all the pieces together. But the packages start at, I think, $3,500 and go up, and you'll have to contact me by email. It's not something you can buy online. We definitely need to talk and make sure that you're matched up with what it is you need and what it is your future needs might be as well. We want to future-proof you as much as we can. And we do provide a full year parts and labor warranty on the PC, and then a full year support on VidBlaster. So it's a pretty good deal. One of the questions I got last week was, will VidBlaster work if I upgrade to the trial version of Windows 8? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it on my production machine. I might do it on a test machine, but I certainly wouldn't do it on my production machine. Wait on that one. I'm an early adopter, and I'm willing to adopt a lot of untried technology, but when it comes time for video streaming and things that I like to count on, I don't want to try something that's untested. I'd rather let somebody else try it and break it and have them fix it before I've tried it and tried to break it, because I don't want to have to be the one to get it fixed. So hold off on Windows 8 for now. I think it might be worth taking a look at in the future, but right now Windows 7 is just rock solid and very compact and seems to be doing a good job and squeezing a lot more horsepower out of the CPUs than certainly Vista could. No doubt about that. Okay, if you're new to VidBlaster, and some folks are struggling with the whole concept of how do I connect a camera, and once I connect a camera, how in the world can I make sure that the resolution is right and all those things like that are right. Let me load up a video here, and I've got one for you that talks about cameras, the camera module, and so let's take a look. Hi, this is Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, with another quick tutorial on VidBlaster. We're using VidBlaster version 2.21, which we downloaded from the VidBlaster forum at forum.vidblaster.com in the download section. And today we're going to talk about the camera module, which is in the bottom left-hand corner of the default profile. The camera module includes a video screen where the camera would display, a drop-down box where we can select cameras, a fill-in-the-blank box where we can name our cameras, and a cut and a trans button where we can select the camera to appear in the program screen. So let's load this camera up with load this camera module up with a camera, and you can see we have a variety of choices here. We're going to select the Osprey 450 video device, and that should give us just this color screen to take a look at. If we click cut, it'll move that to the program module. We can right click again and change the video standard if we're in Europe and we want to use PAL, but here in the US we use mostly NTSC M. For video resolution, we would want to match whatever resolution our camera was bringing in, or in this case we'll leave it just on auto, which is our selection here at the top. Again, right click, scroll down to frame rate, and we can select our frame rate. Again, we're going to leave it on auto. That way we're picking up exactly whatever frame rate the camera is bringing in. The next choice is deinterlacing. So if you have a progressive video, you can use deinterlacing to take the interlacing out. Capture allows us to select a different area of the screen. If we wanted, for example, to have a Skype interview, we could use capture, and there's a separate tutorial set up for that. Transition allows us to determine how quickly, when we click this module, it moves to the program module. We can select hard cut, and let's just for the sake of argument, we're going to put something else up there. And we come back to camera 1 and just click the module, and it's a hard cut back to that camera. But if we select transition, dissolve slow, and again we're going to put that player back up there just so we have something different to look at. And you can see how we get a much slower transition. And we can do a dissolve fast or a dissolve medium and have the same kind of thing. The cut button always functions as an immediate change. The trans button will do whatever transition we have already established. Aspect ratio is kind of interesting. It's set for auto, but let's say you had a camera that was producing a video with a 16:9 resolution, but you can see here we're set up for 4:3, and that might come in squished or fat, and we can adjust that resolution here by selecting one of these two choices here. Crop allows us to crop out just a little bit if we've got a black line at the top of the bottom of our video from the camera, or sometimes the camera will have, again, a little extra information that's coming in that creates a white or a colored line top or bottom, left or right. You can crop it out here. IP camera URL, if we were using an IP camera, this is where we would put the URL. Info basically tells us, and let's pull it out here to the side so we can see it more clearly, that we're using the Osprey 450E video device C, so that would be the third of the 4 choices, and our current resolution is 320 by 240 at 25 frames a second. So that's just telling us the information on this camera module. Clear would allow us to clear out all that information, and then of course remove module, which we can't see because it goes slightly off the screen. Let's pull this up and start again. There you go. Remove module. We'll take that module out altogether. So that's a camera module, and that was in the module section. Add. We'll notice we've got camera 1 and camera 2. That was a camera 1. This was the original VidBlaster camera module, camera 1. Camera 2 came along a little bit later, and we'll pull that one back into position. Notice it still says camera 1 up at the top, but don't let that confuse you from camera module version 1 or camera module version 2. This is basically saying just this is the first camera that we're using. One of the biggest differences right off the bat you'll notice is this little this triangle right here, which allows us to collapse this module. So once we've got our camera set, we can move it out of the way because our desktop real estate may be a little limited, but we'll put it back and we'll open it up full size. You see we still have the ability to choose our cameras. We still have the ability to put in whatever camera we want or a cameraman's name. We still have our cut and our trans button. Oh, we don't have anything in there. Let's put there we go. When we right click, however, we see the menu is slightly different. We can choose our video device, which would be our camera, and these are the available cameras right here. Our video standard, which we had before, our video resolution, which we had before, our frame rate, which we had before, deinterlacing, which we had before. Smooth resampling is a little different, and sometimes this will make a difference in your video, sometimes not. You just have to play with it and see. And then transition, again, we had before, aspect ratio, crop, and then a new one, display size, allows us to set the display of the camera, we'll go for 100, is now, the camera module is the same size as whatever our program is. So if we had a really big desktop here, let's move the streamer out of the way for a second, we could have that that camera module easily seen so that we could click on it. If we were using a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard from across the room, we could see what was on our cameras. And that's only available in the Camera 1 module. Notice that our trans buttons and all our other buttons, let's put this back to the same size. Oops, display size default. All these controls and buttons disappeared when we made the camera module 100% size. Let's see what happens when we do it to 50%. I think they're gone there too. Yeah, there you go. So we'll send it back to the default size, and that brings us back all of our goodies. And then the info button, the clear, and the remove modules. Those commands work just like before. There are some cameras that really like using this Camera 2 module, and some cameras that really like using the Camera 1 module. So you'll just have to check which is preferred for your camera. You will notice here in the Camera 2 module that there is no capture ability. So if you want to capture video, say for Skype or something else like that, you'll have to do that with the Camera 1 module. So that's the camera modules in VidBlaster. Remember to tune into that VidBlaster Guy every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Central Time. That's 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And that's at thatvidblasterguy.com. Thanks for tuning in.
And we do thank you for tuning in. Goodness gracious. One thing I will add is that there always seem to be new cameras coming out. And how do you know if a camera that you want to buy will work with VidBlaster? Well, one of the great ways to do that is to go to the VidBlaster forum and see if anybody out there in the world is using that. And that's forum.vidblaster.com. There are several different sections to the forum. There's the support section for folks that are just testing the program, and then for registered users, there are lots of different sections that they can use and post to. If you would like to try VidBlaster without buying it, there's no problem with that. You can download a free trial edition in the forum, forum.vidblaster.com. There's a whole section called Downloads, and you can download there the latest beta, which as of today is version 2.24. Now, a word about betas. A beta is a version of the software that is still in testing, beta testing, obviously. And so it should not be assumed that there are no bugs, in a beta version. The latest release version, that is, if you go to the store at vidblaster.com and you buy the latest version of VidBlaster, you're buying version 2.09. Well, there have been lots of great upgrades and updates to VidBlaster since version 2.09, including slow motion replay. Goodness gracious, that's huge. And I've noticed, as somebody who's used VidBlaster since version 0.42,
that each version of VidBlaster seems to get a little faster, seems to demand a little less from the CPU, and that you can squeeze more and more and more out of less and less equipment. Now, yes, I would still always recommend an i7 processor, the fastest one you can possibly afford, the fastest RAM you can possibly afford. Windows 7, 64-bit for sure. You know, 16 gigabytes of RAM so that you've got plenty of RAM to do all sorts of other things with. Yes, VidBlaster is only a 32-bit program. I understand that. It only can access 3.5 gigabytes, but there's so many other things that you can use that other RAM for. A solid-state hard drive is a great way to help speed up the process too, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. We were talking about cameras. The beauty of the forum is that there very well may be somebody out there that's used a digital single lens reflex camera to do what you want to do, and they've tested it and they found either it does work well or it doesn't work well. There are lots of really knowledgeable folks on the forum, each with their own area kind of expertise, some in video, some in audio, some in hardware, some in software, and some in all different sorts of subcategories there. So I would encourage you to take a visit to the forum, register for a name, you want to use your real name, and include a picture so that we're a pretty friendly community and we seem to get along. No spamming is allowed and no flaming. So that's the VidBlaster forum. I think we've come to the end of the show today. Next week, looking forward to having be back on our regular schedule of talk shows and sports shows and church broadcasting. And I'm not ready to announce it yet, but I think we're going to have a really famous talk show guy on the show, and we encourage you to check back on our schedule later in the week as we get closer to the show and we can confirm that we'll have those on there. So this has been That VidBlaster Guy with Tom Sinclair, show 6. Glad you tuned in and look forward to seeing you again next time.